Adopt and propel your Salesforce sweet spot. Oh my goodness gracious, everybody's here today because we've all heard somebody utter, I hate Salesforce. We've all heard that phrase. Well, my guess is everybody who's joining us today does not hate Salesforce, and that's why you're here. So welcome, 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 my friends. I am Dr. Shannon Gregg, the president of Cloud Adoption Solutions. Our Salesforce practice is focused on regulated industries. So we love to get inside of your needs for Salesforce and figure out how we can be helpful to you while also maintaining the rigor that is needed for your regulated industry. And I am excited to be joined today by my friend Larry Hill. Larry, I would love for you to introduce yourself, and then we'll jump into a little nerdy academic theory and then your demo.
That sounds good. Yeah, Larry Hill here. I'm the designer and founder of Leaping Fox, which has the Express Console application and a new kind of exciting app that's been designed to increase adoption of Salesforce. You'll hear a little bit more about me later, and then as we get into the product.
Love this. So when I first met Larry, Larry said, hey, I've got this application. It's going to help everybody use Salesforce more and better. And I said, Larry, that's all I think about. And that is true. I know many of you who are joining us know that I did do my PhD research on Salesforce user adoption and why people don't use Salesforce and how to get them to use it better. So I want to share with you just a few sort of ideas on academically how you can put user adoption at the forefront of your Salesforce instance, and frankly, any sales technology that you are using or directing. And then Larry's going to show you a demo that I think is spectacular and really embodies some of the things that I think have been missing for a really long time. My Salesforce birthday is 2009. I've been working on Salesforce for a really long time. So I've met hundreds and hundreds of folks in revenue generating roles who say Salesforce really gets in my way. And so, Larry, when I saw your app, I was like, whoa, I could have used that in 2009, 2010, 2011, and on
I
and
could
on.
have too.
Exactly, exactly. So that's how you got to where you are. So let's dive in really quickly. I'd love to tell this story about Dell Technologies because I can remember being at Dreamforce eons ago when chatter really came to the forefront of the Salesforce conversation. And the number one user of chatter at that time was Michael Dell, the CEO of Dell Technologies. So thinking about technology user adoption, it really does start at the top. And we talk a lot about how do you influence folks at the top to use Salesforce more or to promote the application more, when so often we've got executives who say, I haven't logged in since April of 2023. Or you've got executives who say, I have no idea how to bop around inside of there. Why don't you print out that report and give it to me so I can take it to my board meeting next Tuesday? Some of the things that we really have to think about and we're tasked about thinking about is how do we make it so the executives want to get inside of there? And so one of the things Larry's going to show you is a methodology and an application that you can use to make it simple for them, because that's really often what we have to do, right? So there are, from my research, three primary user adoption theories. I can tell you, because I searched and searched, there are no assessments or instruments or questionnaires that have been proven fit for purpose that measure user adoption. So you can't go out there and send out a survey to all of your folks in sales and service and marketing and say, why aren't you using this technology? You know, why aren't you, and how are you using it? How do you like it? You can put out a Likert scale, you know, that 1 to 10. And a tip for you all is the 1 should always start on the left-hand side and the 10 should go to the right, because that's what people are used to seeing, and say, like, how much do you like the way that we're using Salesforce right now? But if you really want to get underneath the psychology of why people aren't using things, these three theories are going to come forward as the ones that help to direct you. So you've got that change management theory, which is change has to be controlled. If you are ever on a project team and somebody scratches change management or training out of the budget, that is a huge red flag, because if you don't think about how you're going to control the change, it's going to be harder to get that change to work. The diffusion of innovations theory, which is how does an idea spread, right? So if you've got an idea, how does it get out to a group? If you've never read the book Crossing the Chasm, that's a beautiful, wonderful way for you to quickly understand the diffusion of innovations theory and how you can use that to your advantage. So I really recommend that. And then finally, adult learner theory, which really simply comes down to adults learn the things they want to learn. So if you've ever said, oh my goodness gracious, it really feels like my muffler is on the fritz and I want to replace it myself. First of all, don't get in the car with me if I ever told you I replaced the muffler myself. I'm uniquely unqualified to do that sort of thing. But if you say, I'm going to go straight to YouTube and I'm going to learn how to do this because you're interested and you're curious, and adults activate their learning based on things that they're interested in. So keep that in mind as we're going through these stages today, as Larry shows you the way that the application can make Salesforce more accessible to people. And I just want to give you a quick sort of story that I have, and Larry, I want to see if this is frustrating to you as well, but I've been on LinkedIn since the start, since 2003, I think. And I have found that sometimes LinkedIn makes very curious choices about the ways that they want their users to interact with their platform. And I found last week with my sales team, we were going through and trying to invite people to like our page, our company page. And it used to be pretty simple. You could click one button and immediately invite somebody to like their page. I love when people ask me to follow their pages because I want to see your posts and I want them to show up in my feed. Well, now it takes 4 clicks to find where you can invite somebody to follow your business page. And I got to tell you, Larry, that was really frustrating to me. Have you noticed this with LinkedIn or anything else that you're using?
Oh, geez, don't even get me started with LinkedIn mail. I've always been suspicious of companies that decide to do it completely differently. And that different way is a way that might have been discarded 5 or 10 years ago by others. Yeah, LinkedIn, it's a monopoly, which some people say about Salesforce, and they make decisions accordingly to perhaps what is easiest, most straightforward for them technologically, as opposed to really getting into the user experience more deeply and maybe asking some people at how it worked out for them.
That's totally it, Larry. You're right. And when we're talking about user experience or human-centered design, that's really what we're thinking about. How many clicks are we asking people to take to do something that they could do somewhere else? If any of you are sitting here saying, I hate Salesforce, or I have users that hate Salesforce, you know this feeling. You're asking somebody to do something that makes their job harder. And that's not the point of the system at all, right? We're supposed to make the system easier. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're driving towards. So I have just one more slide that I'm going to show you. And I want to talk about user adoption being a constant process. Once again, I'll invite anybody who's here live to type any of your questions into the Q&A box. I'll be monitoring that throughout, and I will definitely be treating them in live time. So hop on in and ask any questions that you've got. So when you're thinking about user adoption, it's not something you can do one time, tick the box and move along. First of all, we know Salesforce does 3 releases a year, right? So you are looking at 3 times at least when you're not even taking any action, that your users are experiencing some sort of change. And you don't want it to be that same LinkedIn story where they get so frustrated that now they have to take 4 clicks to do something they used to be able to do 1 click ago, that they stop using the system altogether. So always you want to think about what's in it for me and really get underneath that and continue to communicate that. Because often by the time we have released a new integration, a new implementation, something that's different in our Salesforce instance, we've been doing it for so long that we think we're starting at the part of the conversation we're at, and our users are seeing it fresh and brand new. So think about what's in it for them and how you want them to be able to react to those changes. Look for new ways and places to use that technology. So can you use it in your one-on-ones, in your pipeline meetings? Can you actually do it live for your board meetings? Where can you bring that technology in to show in real time the effects and ramifications and benefits of them actually using the system? So we've got this 5-step process that I encourage all of you to use. And Larry's going to take you through these today based on our practice demo, I know he's going to attach all 5 of these steps, but to give them to you quickly, the first is articulate the challenge. So let them know, here's what we're trying to solve and here's what we're going to do. Next is demonstrate it. So that, when you think about adult learner theory, is how do I demonstrate this in a way that tickles everybody's learning style? Thinking about people who are auditory learners, visual learners, kinesthetic learners. So making sure that you're touching them in all those different ways through video, through live demos, through documentation. Next, to orient them to the system. So you show them and then you let them do a show and tell. So you click on the button and then you say, now go ahead and share your screen. You try it. And then as they're digging through, one, you'll get to see how well they're oriented to the system. And two, you can give them additional learning. Next is to continue to progress. So you can't give them everything at once. If you're using an iPhone or an Android, type in the chat which one you're using. If you're using an iPhone, I use an iPhone. Come close to using all the features that are inside of an iPhone. I don't know what they all are. I don't know where they're hidden. Every once in a while, I discover something brand new and I get so tickled. I just found last week, I was taking a picture of a bird that I was going to reverse Google image search to find out what kind of bird it was because it was so chattery and I've never seen such a little cutie before. He had black plumage. It was kind of iridescent, this little yellow beak. And I did come to find out it was a common starling. But I didn't have to reverse Google image search it because at the bottom, the little eye got that special little star that we all know to be indicating that AI is involved. And it told me right there where the picture metadata is, that's a starling. I got so excited, I almost dropped my phone, and then I made my husband run around the yard with me, taking pictures of plants and animals just to see how quickly the phone could identify them. You know full well there are things like that inside of your Salesforce instance that would really tickle your users. So look for that and continue to progress how they feel about it, and then finally test them. Ask them to show you how they're doing it, show where they're at, understand where their challenges are, and you can do that in a formal way with a governance committee, an informal way with office hours. There are loads of ways to take them through that. If you're the screenshot type, this is a great place for you to take a screenshot. Otherwise, I will be sending this recording to all of you, so you will be able to have it. But these 5 steps are a great way to lead somebody through constant user adoption for Salesforce. And Larry, one of the things that I know is that you are going to take us through these steps today, and I'm going to quickly answer a question that we've got in the Q&A as Larry, you get ready to show your slides and then your demo. And this is a great question. Thanks for asking it. When should a manager assess user adoption? Once a quarter, every month? I love this question. Thank you for asking it. I didn't plant it, even though I do know you very well. And it's always, we should be assessing user adoption always, right? We want to be able to know, how are you using it? Why are you using it? Why aren't you using it? Let me get to the bottom of that. And for the most part, if you're thinking about that diffusion of innovations curve, if somebody's in the majority, we really want to be concerned about why they are or aren't using it so we can use them as future use cases. So Larry Hill, super excited to have you here today. I can't wait for you to talk a little bit about the really cool stuff you've got going on in Salesforce.
Sounds good. And just one note, I got a side text from one of the attendees. The chat seems to be disabled. Just wanted to make sure the chat is good for everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for telling me that, Larry. I'll work on that while you're on there. Otherwise, at this time, I think the Q&A is also open.
Okay, great. All right. So a couple of slides to orient everybody to the demonstration here. And we'll make sure, Shannon, we can see the screen there, Adopt and Propel.
Yep, looks great.
Okay, just a real brief background on me. Where did I come from and what went into what came from my background in terms of designing up this application. I am the founder of Leaping Fox and I designed the Express Console. I've been selling tech for over 40 years now. I started back in mainframes with IBM a long time ago. Went to Apple and learned to love user experience. And then I've been in software, either on premises or in the cloud ever since. I've had multiple CRO positions, primarily with startups, and a lot of CRM experience, going back to a Rolodex and paper way back when. Various contact apps, outliners, to-do list applications. I've tried a million of them. I've implemented ACT, if any of you remember that, Sugar CRM, open source, HubSpot and Pipedrive. And for the last 14 years, I've been on Salesforce as what I call a super user, in that I was both the systems administrator. I created the org primarily for startups, and I was the main power user. So I've done that with 3 different Salesforce orgs. And in that experience over the last 14 years, I've come to see that there's a major issue with the Salesforce user experience. Lightning was a breakthrough in low, no code user interface design. It allowed you to rearrange your screen in a way that most applications had never even dreamed of, but there was just a problem. It was kind of slow and kind of clunky. It has sped up a fair bit. If any of you have noticed your orgs speeding up in the last 3 years, they've actually rewritten all of the base components into this new framework that's replacing Aura. It's called Lightning Web Components. And that's what I have used for the Express console here. It's entirely Lightning Web Components. So from the beginning, once they tried to start merging or migrating people from Classic into Lightning, there was a lot of resistance to it. I mean, personally, I bounced off Lightning 6 times before I could make myself continue using it. I went back to Classic. It was faster, it was easier, more straightforward. And obviously, too, I was accustomed to using it. There is always that aspect of people not wanting to move off of things that they want things that they already know. But 5 or 6 years later, I remember a Salesforce senior product manager telling me that they just hit a major milestone, that they'd managed to move 50% of the install base off of Classic into Lightning. And this was, I think, probably a good 6 years into the advent of Lightning. So what salespeople have done instead is operated offline with spreadsheets and notebooks and a whiteboard in the background. Problem with that is it's not the most productive way to operate, and it also inhibits management visibility. Anything that's offline, management can't see and can't get any sense for what's going on in an opportunity. So a bunch of third-party applications, to-do lists, things like that have popped up. Problem there is that they get different user experiences. So it's yet another UI to learn. And if you talk to sales operations people, integrations tend to be the bane of their existence because there's always a problem with the integration. Somebody's laptop does not connect to it. So what we've got is a situation fairly broadly of low adoption of the native Sales Cloud application, which is the one I'll be focused on today. And in the background, and almost as important, is that there's very limited opportunity data in Salesforce. And that restricts sales management's ability to coach, because we all know that a fair bit of the benefit to management is being able to look over the shoulders of salespeople, look into deals, find out what's going on. And then instead of calling them up and saying, hey, what's going on with XYZ deal, saying, oh, why haven't you done this, this, and that? And it's a major sort of advance in sales management, much more efficient, but the data has got to be in there. And that's been the major problem. So that's why I created the Express console. It's a streamlined user experience for opportunity and task management. It uses this Lightning Web Components new framework that I've been talking about to increase the adoption of Salesforce. And so I call it the missing link in Salesforce adoption, because you can do all the right things, and Shannon can help you, and certainly you can improve the adoption of your Salesforce system, but you're always going to be pushing a little bit uphill if the salespeople just don't really like to use the application. So in the last couple of years, I've created the Express console here. It has won 2 Salesforce-sponsored demo jams, one at Dreamforce with my prototype, and then more recently in January of this year, the Salesforce SE Demo Jam, which is a highly competitive AppExchange-sponsored demo jam, where at least in January, there were over 80 Salesforce SEs voting on top application. And I was awarded the demo jam winner there. And in the background, I've been getting good encouragement as well from Salesforce. I got to the senior product manager who actually owned the entire platform, not just Sales Cloud, but the entire platform at Salesforce. And he told me that my application was exactly what they'd hoped people would build with Lightning Web Components. So I'm going to switch off of this now and give you a look. Now, as a baseline, This is what most people use. When I walk around and I talk to technology salespeople at a world tour or Dreamforce event, I say, how do you manage your opportunities? Oh, we just use the opportunity tab. And so what you've got here is, from my perspective, it's very configurable. So sales operations can put things where they want it. But in terms of user experience, something like the stage history here being in a vertical column, it's hard to tell what changed from one period to, or from one stage to another, or from one instance to another. Some people have gone on to try the sales console, which was, I guess about a 3 or 4 year old attempt by Salesforce to at least give you a column of deals down the left-hand side that then applied to the right-hand part of the screen. The problem is it made even worse the tab proliferation that most of us have. Most of us have 3, 4, 5, or 10 Salesforce tabs open at any given time. And what the Sales Console added was, for every time you click on something, it added yet another sub tab here. So you end up wondering, where I was just doing something, where was I? Was it on this one? Was it on that one? No, it was back on the original one. And it just makes worse that one of the primary issues with Salesforce, which is there's too many tabs, and you have to have too many tabs open in order to run the application. So compare that with the Express console here, where we've got a nice, clean, easy to read and understand, very simple approach that gets a lot more sophisticated as I get into it here. So the basic premise of the Express console is to make opportunity management easier. So once an opportunity has been established, after the prospecting has happened and an opportunity is declared in Salesforce, this is where it shows up. And it's really the second half, or you could even say it's the second 2/3 of the entire sales cycle, going from the point where a deal is instantiated to close. So this is opportunity management is the majority of what salespeople are doing, you would hope, on a day-to-day basis. So the idea here is to make it just very simple. We've got a couple of views that we're going to show you, starting out with the pipeline view here, and a whole range of time frames. But you start with a basic grid that you can sort any way you like it, depending on, do you want to take a look at your closest in deal or your biggest deal, just a quick sort, or you can say, I'm gonna work with this one all day today because I know it's active. I'm going to pin it to the top. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting with the kinds of things you can do with Lightning Web Components, because instead of having to jump off to a different screen to get details on any of these deals, all you have to do is expand each one of these, and you get anywhere from 2 to 10 of the most recent activities that have been associated with that deal. And again, you don't have to jump off to see what the details are with those. You just hover over them and you get a pop-up. And if you say, you know what, I should give Rose a call there's a secondary pop-up that I can, if I get telephony enabled, I can either give her a call straight from there or even send her an email. And these pop-ups cascade as well. I've got Rose up here and I say, oh, where is Edge located again? Oh yeah, they're in Austin. Let me see the details on that. I can hit an expand and pop over to the other screen. So you've got two screens that will work. Basically, click on anything on the left and you can get it on the right, or the right screen can operate independently. So if I wanted to just call up one of my deals here real quick, I have a totally independent operation of the right hand. So my idea for this application was originally on a laptop, because you've got, everybody at home has got 2 or 3 screens going at a time. But when you're a salesperson and you're off in a diner someplace or a hotel room, you just got that one and you got to operate from one place. So originally I made it as efficient as possible to operate from that single place. And that is continued on into the evolution of the application. It is very handy to have everything in one place. So basically, click on anything on the left, like a deal here, and you get the details on the right. Again, as I said, if you want to take a look at further details here, you can pop this up. Now, notice where the cursor is in the subject line. All of these pop-ups open in edit mode, because one of the biggest things that people tell me that they hate about Salesforce is that when they go to change something, they've got to find it and then go into edit mode. There's 2 or 3 response time cycles involved, and then you finally get to the point that you can edit it. These all open, and these are normal activities. These are activities that will show up normally in regular Salesforce. There's nothing particularly special or different about the Express console. It uses and stores all of its data directly in Salesforce. There is no intermediate data storage, and there's only, I think, one or two custom fields. So I'm back here on dinner, and if I just want to give myself a little bit of emphasis and say that's tonight, I can just start typing. And then it skips down if I want to add anything to the comments, it skips right down there. The idea here is once your hands are on the keyboard, keep them on the keyboard. One of the biggest productivity killers in Salesforce is that having to jump it back and forth between the mouse and the keyboard and the mouse and the keyboard and keep doing that. And it just takes forever. And that's why most people don't really use activities inside Salesforce. It's too many clicks and too many switches with the mouse to get something done here. So with an Express Console pop-up, you see where the cursor is now, it doesn't go through status, priority, contact, and related because those are all filled in. It jumps, if I've made a change, it jumps directly to save, and I just hit enter, and it's saved. So there's an accelerated way to use activities throughout the system. Everything has got a pop-up capability. Anywhere you go on the screen that you want to pop up and maybe cascade that, it pops up and it keeps you on the same screen. Now, this is also, the Express Console also offers a more efficient way to manage the data within a deal, within an opportunity here. This is the standard screen here, and it gives you the ability to go out and choose products. And this illustrates the interoperability of the Express Console with the rest of standard Lightning. This is a standard Lightning add a product screen. So we can jump straight out to that, add a product, come back in, and then move back to the Express Console in just a couple of seconds. So it's real easy to add a product. Something that I know a lot of sales organizations use key tasks or a certain methodology or progression of milestones through a deal. The Express Console allows you to configure them here, and not just as a reminder, but each one of these has an edit area where you can actually add the data in. So this becomes a great milestone review mechanism for management. Fairly simple. These might be key tasks for moving from one stage of the opportunity to the next, or just a collection of the 5 or 6 things that need to be done before sales management considers this to be done. So you just a quick list here, and it's real easy to pop up notes on this side, pin them, and then go back and enter data on this side that might come from any given pop-up. You saw the stage history before in the opportunity management and in the sales console. This, from our perspective, is the easiest way to take a look at the progression of a deal. Here's the whole stage history, and you just get a little highlight around what numbers changed out of the key, amount, probability, and close items at any given time, exactly what the date was and who made the change. So much easier for management to take a look at stage history. Now, with contact roles, this is something that salespeople, unless they're really forced to do, are just not going to put roles in. It's primarily for management. Typically, a salesperson knows who's who in a deal. But so I've added a benefit to this. So for all of the contact roles that the salesperson puts in, or the Express Console will restrict the number of emails that are added into the activities to just those people where their email address has been included in the email. And that's to declutter a deal. You don't want all sorts of spurious emails inside of a deal. And so what this does is it restricts down to just those from the people who have roles. And it even gives you the ability here of if you've just got too many and you really want to boil it down to just what has gone on, you can click hide email activities. And it boils it down to just the activities, the events and tasks and other activities that have happened within the deal. And then finally, something that's completely different that you've never seen before is what we call the opportunity document. And this enables you to take your entire sales path with all the various questions that need to be asked in a given deal and turn it into a document, editable the same way that the key tasks were. And you can see the key task here down at the bottom of each one of the stages of the deal. And this becomes a great place, to the extent that sales management wants to dictate it or feels that it's important. This is a great place to document where all of the information around a deal. And this doesn't have to be any specific number. I've got a configurator here in the administration piece that lets you put as many or as few questions as you would like into the sales path there, tell whether they're active or not active, and then which one is the key task that you need to fill out to get out of a given stage of a deal. So now all of this information display is valuable if people are putting data into the system. And that is one of the fundamental problems with Salesforce, is that when it's just data entry for data entry's sake, salespeople are just not interested. So the second major aspect here of the Express Console that makes it easy for them is this Today tab. And what it shows are the three key time management aspects that a salesperson is thinking about all day long. It's who do I have to call? What do I have to do? And what is on my calendar? And you can boil a salesperson's entire day down to right into this today list. Salespeople typically like to make calls. They'll say, you know what, I'm going to make calls for an hour at 10 o'clock. I'm in a mood for making calls. The problem with Salesforce is that there's no way to distinguish between a call task and a do task. They're all just task activities inside. So one of the things that Lightning Web Components has enabled us to do is that in the pop-up, if you make the first word of the subject call, it'll categorize it up here in the call section of the today list. And if you don't have a call on it, it'll put it down here in a normal task. So just to give you that easy way to distinguish between the two. Now, the operation of the today panel here is pretty simple. If you complete something, you check it, and it disappears. It should disappear there. If you say, you know what, I don't want to do this today, I'm gonna put off the follow-up until tomorrow, you hit the minus sign, and it just puts tomorrow's date on it. If you want to see what you've done during a day and have the check mark show up, you can do that. And it's also, this is probably one of the first times that you've seen drag and drop work inside Salesforce. You can drag and drop to prioritize over here, or you can take something as, you know what, I decided I want to do this today. I'm just going to drag this onto the today list and have it show up. And you can do that, or you can say, you know what, I should probably research the terms there. I'm not going to only mark that as next, but I'm going to add that to today. Now, something I just pointed out there within this deal, you can see that we've got the opportunity showing. And I'm going to pull up a different one just to do a different change to mark as next. And it knows whether you're in progress or not. And then when we take a look at this deal, call John about delivery is in the next step field. So it's very important within Salesforce. A lot of companies, most companies, sales methodologies have what is the next step for a deal. And just as a way to progress the deal, management is always interested in what's the next step. So what I've done here, it's an anomaly though, because the next step by definition is a task or it's an activity, right? It's something that's going to happen. And yet in Salesforce, it's just a field that you fill in. So the Express Console bridges that gap between the two, takes an actual activity, gives you that ability to mark it as next, and then goes into the back end and synchronizes with the back end. So all the reports that have next step on them still work. So a variety of different ways to add tasks here. And again, the idea, the Express Console has got or requires about 50% of the clicks of normal Lightning out of 2 years of usage that I've been able to determine. And the way we do that is a number of shortcuts. Like if I want to log a call here, and you notice that each deal has got a plus sign next to it. If you go to log a call for that, it automatically relates that call to the opportunity. So you get that real 360 view of an opportunity as you go through it. The normal activity inside Salesforce the default is to account. You have to change it to opportunity and then fill it in and do a search. And just about no salespeople are willing to go through that rigmarole just to identify or relate a task back to an opportunity. So we make that easy. We make it easy if you take a look, for example, if you've got some notes, meeting notes. The little corner drag drop thing is kind of a pain inside Salesforce. So I added a quick expand. So you can very easily see a much larger, almost a full screen of notes. And built within that is the ability to, if you highlight some text and right click on it, you can create a brand new task right there. So if you've taken notes, I like to delineate or identify my personal tasks with two little carets like that. So I go in, highlight them, and you can see it's related to the same contact and the same opportunity as the original note. And you just save that, and you've got that as in this case, a duplicative task that shows up on your today list. So there's a whole variety of ways you can add a call task from here, and it automatically puts the word call into the subject. You can add a normal task, and you can even, if you've got your calendar synchronized with Salesforce, you can even add a calendar item in there. And finally, you notice we've called this today the today list. It's not a to-do list, it's a today list, because it just shows the items that are on the schedule for today. If you want to take a look at a broader number of activities, we've got an activity view, but I'm going to use the shortcut here from within the today that takes you directly to the activity page. And this shows all of the activities that are related to you in whatever period of time. In this case, we've just chosen a quarter, but you can take a look at all historical activities. You've got a number of filters here to say, just show me what's in progress or not started yet. What are my to-dos? What do I have to do? And then we've built in a very fast search, and it just searches on the subject or the related to. So you can say, what have I got in there for Jack? Okay, call Jack about delivery. Ooh, that was back on May 2nd. I should probably do something about that. Or Edge. I know I've got a couple of deals going with Edge. Show me everything that has to do with Edge. So it just makes it very easy to identify and search out different activities that either you finished or in progress, not started, whatever the status is. Now, the way I use this on a daily basis is I have a busy day, right? I'm direct sales here for Leaping Fox. And when my day gets busy, sometimes I just don't have time to take all the notes that I need to. And I'll throw in something like call Bob, right? So what the activity view here lets you do is to go flesh that out at the end of the day when your memory is still good or you jotted something down on a piece of paper and say, okay, I need to call him about delivery. And Bob was Bob Levy. Now, notice most of the times I have to go to the keyboard and hit the arrow down in order to select him. The Express console automatically selects the top selection from any query, any search that you do throughout the system to make it nice and fast to fill in. And then it gives you the ability, see the little calendar icon there. It says, okay, 6/4 left a message. So it puts today's date in, lets you put a note in real quick. This is related to the Edge, and it was the emergency generator. Everything's all set, and now you can see the cursor has gone down to the save. I hit save, and I've saved it all. In summary here, almost in many ways, the holy grail of Salesforce management is to get salespeople to put their tasks into it, one way or the other, because you have sales visibility onto what's going on inside a deal, and hopefully you raise the productivity a little bit rather than lowering it in making them put their tasks in. So what we've done here with the Express console is expressly trying to make it easier and make it more valuable for people to put tasks in, put their notes in, put their to-dos in. And that gives sales management such a greater ability to coach on a deal than 2-week-old call notes and there's nothing else. Now I'm going to pause here right for a second. We're 45 minutes in. I'm going to pause. Shannon, have we got any questions at this point?
We do have a question, Larry. Somebody is asking, how does this work if you have a team, if you're leading a team?
Got it. All of the screens have got a little team button here. Now, in this case, I happen to be the only one, but what this will show is it can show either team members or direct reports. So I can look at, and actually, I think we've got a filter here. That's another screen. There's a filter where I want to see all notes, which is all the notes that are related to an opportunity, or just my own tasks. Yes, this does work with this does work with teams. Anyone who puts a task in associated to an opportunity will see it show up here. Okay, so keep the questions coming, but I'm gonna finish up here with just a quick look at two other views, something that sales management will love, which is a forecast view. It takes that original pipeline view and fleshes it out and adds commit numbers, stage, forecast category, next step, and the owner. And again, this has got that same team capability and direct report capability as the other screen did. This is a great place for a manager to just start out taking a look at a subordinate's backlog, because they can take a look at the same deals. You got that same ability to expand and pop up details on a given deal. So manager can prep by taking a look, and then it makes for a much richer conversation between manager and salesperson than, well, what have you done with this deal lately? And that is ultimately, that's one of the main intents of Salesforce, is that ability to not only document what's going on with the deal, but give management the opportunity to see what's going on and coach accordingly. So you can do it either by expanding this out, or of course the pop-ups work here. So you can always see you can take a little look at the details of what the next step is, which is unique from regular Salesforce, and coach accordingly. And then finally, we've got a new prospecting view. Takes much the same approach as the forecast did, with showing, it shows either leads in this case, or we can also do contacts, but it gives you a quick sense of who all of your leads are, plus what the last 3 activities have been for a given, in this case, a given prospect or a lead. So you can very quickly see what's been done with a given prospect, and then decide whether you want to take further action. Now, this one is a little bit weird. It looks like I left a message and then they clicked on another email, and I have follow-up there. So I can also unfold this in the same way that I can the other screens to get a deeper detail on what's going on with the prospect. And it looks like they've clicked on this email that I sent it out twice. So this is something I really need to follow up with Bertha on. And what I like to do is add a little hash mark out there each time I leave a message for her. So I just put the timestamp in there, say lead left message, when can we talk? And then I hit tab real quickly, it went right to save and close it up. So I would propose this as a good and usable task management system that beats most of the manual, offline, or even integrated third-party apps that your salespeople might be using. I'll pause again here for some questions. We're about 50 minutes in. Any questions there, Shane?
We do have one, Larry, and we've got Rosemary asking, do you provide training for a team to help them ramp up on your platform and how it is integrated into Salesforce?
Yeah, so the Express Console, 2 pieces there, the implementation and then the training. The Express Console is a managed package in Salesforce. So all you have to do is, as a matter of fact, you can download a trial directly from the App Exchange for 5 users and install it. And once it's installed, all you have to do is assign individual users to the 5 seats. It's called provisioning, just assigning which users can use which licenses. And then training, I found that about a 45-minute session, a lunch and learn, is pretty much all you need to give people a good sense of how to work this, because there's nothing dangerous in here. There's nothing you can click on that's going to blow things up. It's not hard to experiment around with pop-ups. If I want to change my amount here, I've got to go to my product to do that. And in worst case, there is a very extensive user guide that comes with the product. So it's shown both common features, how to use the app, what's in the header, how do the pop-ups work, and then how do I work the pipeline view, how to work the forecast view, lots of screenshots, standard features, and then unique features in there. So I've actually had a couple of users I've called up to offer a lunch and learn. They say, no, we took a look at the user guide, we're all set. Now, I'm not used to that from salespeople, but it's a pleasant surprise, because typically with about a 45-minute intro and then maybe a half an hour refresher, a couple of weeks later when people start to get into it, salespeople tend to get a pretty good idea of the use of the Express Console. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention here that I just noticed, and I'm going to add him in here on the end, about the interoperability. You notice we're just another tab here of the normal Lightning tabs. Anytime you're in a given object, an opportunity, a contact, or an account, and you see this little Lightning icon, you can hit that and it'll jump out to whatever your default page layout is for that object in regular Lightning. So if there's a field, if there's something in that other screen, a custom field that hasn't been included in the Express Console, you can jump out to that and then watch. I will click, and in less than half a second, you are right back into the Express Console. Response time on this app is as good as you will ever see anywhere in Salesforce because it's 100% Lightning Web Components, which is the framework for the future of the platform. So I'm going to, if we have no more questions there, I will give you just my quick information here on how to contact me. Feel free to reach out. A quick summary, a 3-minute, 7 things you've never seen before in Salesforce is available on my website there, just leapingfox/7 things. And there's also, I flesh out the concept of user experience being the missing link in my blog on my website. So if you want to take a look at that and give me a call if you have questions, like to discuss your situation, I'm more than happy to have a conversation.
This was fantastic, Larry. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I know I was so excited when I first saw your demo, and I was like, wow, we could have changed so many salespeople's lives. So I appreciate all that you've done. I appreciate you sharing this with us. And I recommend everybody reach out to Larry, give it a try. It's pretty easy to spin up and use. And I can almost guarantee you're going to have a happy set of salespeople. And we know what we do with that extra time, Larry, that we give back to our salespeople. We retire more quota.
Yes. Well, good deal.
Thanks
Thank
for,
you, Shannon.
thanks for attending. Thanks so much, Larry.